Hello, I am Dr. Kimberly Burgess, and I serve as Executive Director of Student Success here at Albany State University, and I am talking with voices of extraordinary people. I have with me Miss Gianna Battle, who is a rising senior, a biology major here at Albany State University. Hello, Gianna, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
Doing well. So let's talk about how you caught my eye. What I'm doing is talking to students who have impressed me or who my colleagues are impressed with, and it's somebody who I want to get to know a little bit more about and hear a little bit more from. I feel like they have an extraordinary story, and so you were recommended by a couple of my colleagues, and so I thought it would be great to talk with you about your experience because I thought that you've got something to say, to students here at Albany State University. First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey before Albany State University.
Okay, a little bit about myself. Right now, I'm currently 22 years of age. Before then, I am a previous foster youth. That is my background. Graduated high school with a 4.0 GPA. I had to adapt to change very quickly, and it has not always been easy going from change to change. I can say that I developed my passion to want to go beyond where I grew up from and the things I was able to see while being in the system allowed me to be able to give me that extra push to go 10 times harder, because you never know who you're going to see, you never know who you're going to meet. Mm-hmm. And so I'm very big on, meeting people and always telling my story, because my story can help 10,000. And if I can help 10,000, I can help 100,000. So
absolutely.
That's all a little bit about me.
So let's talk about a little bit about being foster youth. You're currently part of a program on campus called the Compass Program, correct?
Yes.
And that program helps students such as yourself who have exited out of the foster care system. So how long were you in the system?
I currently was in the system for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
While being in the system, I have been through homes where some homes were not always easy. Some homes were good, and then I was lucky to be placed in a group home, which really saved me. I would say it saved me because I went to a point, I would say, at around 14 and 15, I was spiraling. I had this big dream and this passion, but the foster home and the environment that I was in, that wasn't, my passions was not what I was trying to entertain at that time. So leaving that group home, that foster home, again, put in this group home, allowed me to be around other girls. And I started to think it myself and say, okay, these girls are, some of them older than me, some of them younger than me. How can I, knowing and hearing different people's backgrounds, and some of them similar to mine, some of them not, how can I be influential? So I realized my gift at an early age. I have the gift of intelligence. So with my intelligence, I decided to make a name for myself in high school. I was the highest grades in my class every year. I also had a little challenge, because going to different schools and moving around, mm-hmm. It's also other kids at that school that are also top dogs mm-hmm. in intelligence. Mm-hmm. So being in the different schools, I could say, and being around so many different people, and in the midst of trying to adapt to so many different cities and different schools and different people, it's kind of hard, because you would think like, oh, you can deal with, okay, these are people right here, and I go to school with these people, and then I'm in the system and I'm trying to function and do school at mm-hmm. the same time. That is really hard to do, and to maintain a 4.0 GPA in high school. That is very hard.
It absolutely is. How many homes do you think you were in?
I've been through 4 to 6 homes, and I was in one group home. One group home.
Yes. And tell me, how did that frame you talked about how that pushed you to make a name for yourself, and you realized, I'm kind of smart and I can do this thing. Tell me how it framed what you think family is and what your place in family should be. How did that experience define family for you?
Okay, family to me is, you never know. Okay, you can be born with your mom and your dad and your brothers and sisters, because that's what I was born with. You can have loving parents. Everybody that's in the system, that's not saying that your parents was just beating you and mistreating you. That's not what it could be. Absolutely. It could just be simply that your parents are also humans at the end of the day. And they love you, can do everything you can, but at the end of the day, they have their faults. And so my mom came from a domestic abuse of violence, and that would help result in me to be in the system. Mm-hmm. So as me going through the system and being placed in different other people's homes, I was able to see their family dynamic. Mm-hmm. which made me see, okay, you can have this perfect dynamic, which is in the American society of mom and dad, brothers and sisters, in a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, and we got 2 or 3 cars in the driveway. But not necessarily that family is not having problems. So it was able to show me that, okay, you can have this perfect family, you can have all of that, and there's still issues. But to me, a family is you sticking strong in that family and you staying there, not for if it's mistreating, abuse. I'm not saying for that. But what I'm saying is that if there are going to be problems, there are going to be things that come within a family. But the family that stays strong and stays through it, that's what family means to me. Having a group of people in your circle that when things get hard for you or when things get hard for them, and the love that you have and the loyalty and the trust that you have, that means everything. And to me, that's a family.
Wonderful. Did you have mentors during the process? Did you have anybody helping to guide you?
Not in my different foster homes, I did not. When I got to my group home, there was a lady named Miss Verika Hall. I will always be grateful for her because she was the first person to help me start knowing the true way to prepare me for being a grown woman, to get into adulthood. I get a little tongue-tied here. So she was able to, see the potential that I had, and she was able to help me start seeing the potential and help me to exceed it a little bit more than what I had already had for myself. She was able to show me that as a woman, we're supposed to have morals for ourselves. Being in the system and being a black female is kind of hard because at the end of the day, the system is not really made for our skin color. It's made for the Caucasian and the other races. So with me being a black person in a system, I had to fight for things. I had to fight for internships, fight for scholarships. I had to fight for so much. And if it wasn't for her teaching me, okay, you're smart, use your intelligence to get what you want. Milk this system to the best of your ability to become successful, and that's what I did. So I most definitely give my props to her.
Excellent. Did your skills for fighting, like your perception of fighting, did that come from your experience, or do you think you came out the womb a fighter?
It's a little bit of both. I say that I was very determined at an early age when it came to a lot of things in life. But I say I became more of a fighter once I went through that part of my story, because if I didn't go through that, I don't know where I'll be right now. So I can say that I became a fighter in a bit of both situations.
You've talked about how it redefined your sense of family, and you've talked about the fight. What other skills do you think that this experience, before you got to Albany State, what other skills do you think your experience developed within you or revealed that you already had?
Optimistic. I never knew I was so as optimistic as I am now, because being in the system, getting told so many no's. When I was 16 years old, I fought so hard to get a job. I proved to them, okay, you can trust me. I can go here and come back home, do what I need to do. And it's like being told no, 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 and just kept asking regardless. That helped me see I'm a very optimistic person. And I'm also can say I'm a joyful person, because most kids commit suicide, whether people know it or not. Being in the system challenged a lot of people. A lot of people cannot adapt to change. A lot of people cannot adapt to being mistreated and still knowing, okay, it's going to get better. I'm going to get to a new home, and a lot of people don't understand that. And so I was able to take from that, and I'm optimistic, I'm joyful. I can light up the room in the midst of being around different girls. I learned to adapt to be in all different types of attitudes. I can say I can adapt to change easily. I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but anything that's thrown at me, it's like I don't fear it no more. It's like I'm fearless now, and that's something else I also picked up a skill in me, is that I no longer doubt what I can and cannot do because of the things I've been through.
I think that's excellent. The optimism is something that definitely radiates from you despite your particular circumstance. Did you see that type of optimism in others who were in your particular situation, or do you think that's something that was unique to you?
I would say it's most something that was very unique to me, because when I was in that group home at that time, there were girls that was from all different types of backgrounds, but they didn't have the passion to want to do better. They wanted to stay stagnant in what they saw, because some people don't know how to have better for themselves because they don't have the people in their circle to push their potential. I'm not saying that those other girls didn't have potential, because they had the potential, but if you don't show that you want to expose that potential, how someone's going to help you? I'm not going to, say that they don't, but I'm going to say that that was special to me, and that's what I possessed out of all of them, and that would help me get to the point I am today.
So many students in your situation feel that they cannot go to college. I mean, college is expensive. College is tough. How did you get to Albany State? How did you choose Albany State? And what has helped you get through Albany State? Because it's so expensive.
Okay, so what people don't know is that being in the system has a lot of advantages. They pay for your first 4 years of college. I said, what I'm going to go to school for? If my first 4 years are paid for, why would I go for something like a 2-year degree if I can get a 4-year degree and get it for free? So I decided at first I wanted to do nursing. I was going to be a neonatal nurse, and I was going to then go to school to become a surgeon. Then something came to me, okay, Gianna, you going all out the way. Okay, so I changed my major, decided to get my biology degree. So understanding, I know that medical school is going to be expensive for me, but my first 4 years are already paid for, so I'm coming out of college debt-free. Going into medical school, okay, with the blessings of scholarships and all type of things that I will eventually be able to not have to pay for medical school at all. So that allowed me to see that if I can get into college for free and excel, not saying there still was some challenges still being in here, but still knowing that my vision, keeping my vision in my mind and keeping my vision in front of me when things are hard, that what helps me still push through regardless of financial struggles, regardless of your own personal background. That kept me pushing when I kept my vision in my mental picture.
So how did you choose Albany State?
I chose Albany State. Well, my dream school really was, I wanted to go to Harvard. That was my dream school. I actually did have a couple of full ride scholarship offers. I had a lot of D1 schools. My dad and my mom at the time, once I finally had got out the system, I wanted to, be with them. So I decided to be closer to them, so I decided to go to Albany State University.
So family drove your decision.
Family drove me.
How interesting. I think that's very interesting. All right, so you got to Albany State. Let's talk about the Compass program for a minute. We talked about it briefly earlier. Tell us about the Compass program. How did you find out about it?
You mean like my expectations when I first got to college? Or
when you got to college?
Okay, so my first expectations when I got to college, I'm in a new scenery. I'm on my own now. It's nothing new to being on my own, but it's something very new to me because I'm now don't have no responsibility but just myself, and I don't have no one to tell me what to do. So my expectations really was just do what you got to do, stay hard, stay fast in these grades, stay focused, stay motivated, stay with your vision, keep your vision on lock. So that really was my expectations. Really was just to treat college as if it was just a new change, just just a new feeling with different expectations. I got into the Compass program when I got into touch with Miss Polite. I didn't get in touch with Miss Polite until my second, I think it was my spring semester of 2020. After I had failed my very first semester. A lot of people do not know that because at one point I took that as a disgrace because I'm a 4.0 GPA student. Who would expect me to have a 0.25 GPA my first fall semester of 2019? That was a hard adjustment to me coming from high school, being to college, and being part of the system. That had a lot of effect on me still. I was still in the midst of learning who I was and trying to define what I really truly want for myself in these next 5 years. So meeting Miss Polite, and she found out about my story. I talked to her about my story. I got part of this Compass program. When I first got to the Compass program, I'm like, okay, these are other students like me, but I'm not really, trying to, get in the habit of trying to mingle with them or not. But as being part of the Compass program within the first couple of weeks, my leadership skills developed. They skyrocketed. I had talked to Miss Polite, and I told her, I said, I never would have thought me being part of this program or you picking me would benefit anything because that 0.25 had kind of killed my motivation. So I didn't see why she still tried to have her time. Why did she see that I needed to?
So even with your confidence in yourself that you had coming in the door, are you saying that confidence was gone after your 0.25 semester and you were doubting even why she would choose you for the program?
Yes. I doubted myself, and it sounds crazy though, because people wouldn't believe that, but I did. I doubted myself. what picked me back up is because she stayed so hard, and because she picked me, that what made me get my motivation back. Because I sat there and thought about it. Okay, this lady sees something in me still. What am I missing that she see? My vision came back. Past my spring semester with all A's. I went from a 0.25 to a 4.0 GPA in the matter of 18 or 9 weeks. I'm not sure how long.
16 weeks
16
semester,
weeks.
right. So let's think about you saying that interaction and you turned it around. Think about some of those conversations that you had with, you talking about Miss Mildred Polite, who is the Compass coordinator. What are some things that she said to you that you think resounded with you and spoke to something within you? Because you had been a self-starter for pretty much most of your life. So what was it that she poured into you that you think made the difference?
She poured in me because I look at Miss Polite as a very strong, confident black woman. What she gave me was confidence again. It was nothing that she said. It was her actions. As observing her as a woman is what pushed me to keep going. She said a lot of great things. She done said so many great things. I can't really pinpoint which is the greatest to me that come off the top of my dome. But it wasn't none of that resonated with me. It was her as a being, her actual presence, and what her presence spoke to me. And her presence spoke strength. It also spoke to me that she had enthusiasm for me and the passion and the love that I felt every time I was with that lady.
So you saw in her something that you saw in yourself?
Yes.
Or something that you wanted to see or you already saw in yourself?
What I saw in her was something at that point where I was trying to attain again. So she had what I was trying to regain for myself.
So the modeling was
Yes.
important for you, what she was modeling.
Yes.
And so you began to turn it around. What specific actions and behaviors that you did do you think turned it around? You had a person, all right, you said you had a vision. So what exact behaviors and practices did you put in place to turn your academics around?
What I did was I blocked out the things that at the time were hard for me. I blocked those out. I know it's not good, they say, to put your problems aside to deal with what you're trying to attain. But if you can manage that, I say go for it, do it. So that's what I did. I put my own struggles and I put my own negative things that was in my mind away. Because when we're consciously negative and subconsciously, what we know is whatever we think consciously is in our subconscious. So I had to rechange my thinking. So that was the first thing I did. Once I rechanged my thinking, I was able to see, okay, Gianna, how are these classes? What am I not understanding? Those what I'm not understanding, I'm with that professor after that class. I'm with him in his study hours, he or she. So I also didn't look at, okay, I understand this. I know what I'm doing. Instead of when I don't understand what I'm doing, I just wanted to seem like I still was that very smart student. But in the midst of me, what I learned during that semester was, okay, you still are an intelligent girl, but just because you don't grasp a concept doesn't make you dumb. You just need to get more practice. And it helped me to study. It changed my whole study habits. And I went from a person that just was a visual learner to being a passive learner as well. So that also helped me in my action change.
So let's talk about biology, because you said you
Okay.
are pre-med, right?
Yes.
Tell me what field you want to go into.
I want to be a neonatal surgeon.
Oh, wow. Did you come to this on your own? Did you have influence from a professor? Was it a class you took? How did you get to choosing this as a career?
I began to choose this career as I always had the compassion for people. I always had the love for people. But I didn't really grow the passion for being with the NICU is when I working as a job, well, not working, I was job shadowing this OBGYN. This one particular lady, I know they say if you don't work, you cannot be able to see surgeries and things like that. This one particular incident, I was able to luckily to see a brief overview of this surgery because one of the ladies at my group home had connections and she knew what I wanted to do, and so she made it happen for me. I was very thankful for that. I was able to see a live birth in a way. The baby's umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck. So watching that baby and they telling the mother that, okay, it's a possibility that we can deliver the baby and wrap the umbilical cord around the neck and the baby could die. He's just the OBGYN. He doesn't do the surgery. So then there was another guy came in. He was the neonatologist. He told that doctor, why would you tell a mother something like that? this baby is very much still alive.
And this is something you observed?
This is something I observed. He cut the umbilical cord. He gave the baby CPR, chest CPR.
Wow.
That baby started crying. That baby was alive. So it was just, to me, is to see, and this was a black lady that he told this to, and he was a white doctor. To me, just seeing us as black women, we're very underrepresented in the healthcare field.
Yes.
And that stood out to me, that another doctor came in, not having the fear that doctor had, but his own passion and his own desire. And he came in there and saved that baby's life. That spoke to me, because I have the passion and desire to not only understand what you're saying, and you could be speaking from fear, you could be speaking from negative, but because I have my own mindset and my own mentality, and I know what God gave me the possibility to do, I don't care what you have to say. I don't care what no one else has to say, because I can achieve it. And that's what he showed me. And Lord and behold, he gave me my idea. I can be a surgeon. I can change the atmosphere for black women in the healthcare field. And I can not only do that, but I will have my own, conduct my own research, and I will win a Nobel Peace Prize with my research of childborne illnesses in the black community.
As my students say, period.
Period.
Just like that. So let's talk about your travels here,
Okay.
your journey here while you've been here. So you talked about Miss Polite, and you talked about the other students in the Compass program. What professors or organizations or activities do you think have been influential in your development and growth?
My very first professor, my fall 2019, Miss Anta Shea Jones, she stood out to me. But what I did, at first I didn't like her, because she failed me, for number one. But she didn't give me a time of day either. So I was like, this lady must just don't like me. But what it was is because this lady realized my potential at the fall of 2019, where in a place I was mentally dead at, she saw life in me. I ended up reaching out to her. I hadn't had any more classes with her since fall of 2019. She came across my mind, and I emailed her, I want to say around 2020 or 2022, and I had to sit down and I talked with her. And I asked her, why did you not give me a time of day in 2019? She said, because, like I said, I didn't have no passion, but she saw my passion, and she knew what I could accomplish and could achieve. Meeting with her and talking with her, and also with her being a professor and a doctor at the same time, and just being around another woman of color that is in the doctoral world, it also gave me that extra confidence. Like, okay, I can do this too. And she doesn't play no games, and she don't tolerate BS. If she hears it, she's not gonna respond.
Absolutely,
and it's
I agree.
And that's the point I want to be at. And it's like, she was the very first professor that also shaped my passion and also shaped who I am today. My second other professor I met was Dr. John Williams. Mm-hmm. I took him for human anatomy too. He didn't become my mentor until, I want to say, when I took the science exploration class with him. Mm-hmm. And I started sitting there talking to him about my passions. And he started giving me advice, not only as a professor level, but also advice as if he was my father. So I looked at him not only as a father figure role, but I also looked to him in a role as like, okay, you see my potential as well. You helping me maximize that potential, mm-hmm. Not only helping me maximize it, but you bringing resources to me. And it was like, to be able to have people in my circle like that, and to be able to bring resources to me, resources that I had never thought about doing, things I have never thought about doing, and to see how well I can achieve these, and when I'm putting my mind to it, and seeing that just, it sometimes makes me want to cry, because having those people, right, mean a lot to me on campus.
So it sounds like you have a family.
I have a family. And I also forgot about one more professor. I met him recently, Dr. Manduma.
Okay.
I love Dr. Manduma. What he did for me is he gave me a whole different outlook on the academic world. He gave me a whole different outlook on the scientific world as well. Because I can talk all these good things, but if I don't have a diagram, if I don't have a model, or no representation of everything that I ever stood for, who am I? Mm-hmm. And that's what he gave me.
So within you have been walking and talking, as a student would say, you are badass, okay?
Thank
so
you.
You are walking, talking, you're strong, you're passionate, you know what you want, you know who you want it from, you know what you want to do. But there are a lot of students that are not like that. right? There are a lot of students that come their first year and they are unsure. They do feel kind of lost. They feel alone. What from your experiences can you think can pour into students who hit the campus, like you, and may not feel like they have family or place or identity their first year here at Albany State?
I will honestly say that everyone that comes pretty much their freshman year, we're just out of high school. We're babies. Who really knows their true identity? What a lot of people is peer pressure is the number one thing. We come to college our freshman year. We're surrounded by not just our own, but juniors, seniors, sophomores. And it's like we want, in a way, people of all ages, we tend to want to fit in. And then, in a way, we done tried to fit in and do all these things, and we're lost. Mm-hmm. And it's like we don't know how to properly see the weaknesses within ourselves and our strengths. And that, as me, I failed at that as a freshman. And I feel like that's what other freshmen fail at too, because we don't have that time. We don't take that time to really analyze ourselves before we hit college that first day or that first day in our dorm. We don't really look at the things that we didn't accomplish in high school. Seeing that also helps you notify your strengths and weaknesses, because you know how you was in high school, okay, and you want to change your identity. College gives you time to change your identity. I also can say with that,
do you think that, I know we talked about that some things that happened, that you felt like they were part of you, they were natural, to you. Do you feel that the strength that you have in those different areas, do you think they can be developed within a student? And how do you know? And how do you know?
Because if you have the willpower to change your mind, the mind is very powerful, and that is something I'm still learning each and every single day of my life. It only takes one light bulb to go off in your mind, and you can change your whole atmosphere. So that's how I know a person that was 1 point weak can very much be mentally, physically, and emotionally strong, because that light bulb went off. But it's not for no one else to tell you when you're ready to change your atmosphere. You have to change for yourself.
Absolutely.
So that's why, as a freshman, I can give all this advice to these other freshmen and these freshmen that are coming in, but it has to be a willpower for them. They have to physically want to change mentally, physically, and emotionally. Because once you aligned mentally, everything else is going to become aligned for you. Then you're going to know your strengths, you're going to know your weaknesses, and that's how you're going to build your team. Because what I'm weak in, she most definitely can help me that, because she's in my circle. Okay, so I'm not lacking anything. I have everything, because everyone in my circle can contribute to what I don't possess. So that is my main advice to freshmen, is you have to really have the willpower to work on yourself and change, or else you're going to always be in a subtle roundabout. You're going to keep going in circles.
So I am a huge Marvel fan. I'm huge. I love superheroes, and I use superhero kind of as a theme as I talk to students and move through life. So talk to me about how do you define a superhero?
I define a superhero to me, a superhero is a person that can come in your life and really show you a true aspect, give you something that no one else can ever give you. And to me, that's a superhero. Whether it's love, whether it's the greatest advice that a man can ever say, it's like those things like that define a superhero to me.
And so what are your superpowers?
I'll say my superpowers is confidence, for one. The second one is my intelligence. My third thing is my willpower. I actually have a lot of powers.
You have a utility belt. Have you have a whole utility belt, right?
A whole utility of powers. But, to me, I would say that those, and optimism, I would say that those are my top 4 superpowers. And with those superpowers, not only do that, I have a very bubbly personality. People have been on this campus that I have not known from a can of paint, that have come and just talked to me and just sat down and just unloaded a lot on me. And sometimes I'd be like, ooh, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
What do I need to tell you?
Welcome to my world.
Exactly. So it's like a lot of things I don't have answers to.
Right.
But I'm a person that of resources, because I have had resources. So I'm able to offer resources to those students. Mm-hmm. So I'm also I'm a listening ear. That's really my greatest attribute. People come to me of all ages, of all different nationalities, and talk to me. And it's like, for me to be able to pour my energy and my love that someone was able to give me, and for me to able to polish and keep working on, and to be able to give pieces of that out, that means a lot to me.
So you talked about Miss Polite, your mentor when you were in the group home also. What was her name again?
Miss Verika Hall.
Miss Hall. You talked about Dr. Williams and Dr. Maduma. Would you consider those to be your superheroes?
I would say they're my superheroes, but I also have other superheroes outside of that. When I first came down here, I was spiritually dead. I believe in God, so I don't want to impose on no one else's religion. But I was spiritually dead. I was a person that came from a rough background, so learning to love yourself was very hard. My boyfriend, me and him been together for 4 years. His mother, Camille Holmes. Now that lady is hold on, that's emotional too. That lady is very, very, very strong to me, and she kind of came from a background for me, but it's like this lady is like amazing. Like, this lady is amazing.
She poured love into you as well?
She poured the greatest love in me, and she saw the greatest potential in me. And it's like, whew. She's like the woman in the Bible, Ruth and Naomi. Mm-hmm. She signifies that to me, and it's like, she helped me get my spiritual faith on, and being able to see the weaknesses and the strengths. She helped me. She poured into me. She just poured into me how a true woman of God is supposed to carry herself. Mm-hmm. And even though we are human and we're going to make mistakes, but it's the fact that to keep changing your willpower and keep changing your mental and keep developing and evolving into this spiritual being that you're supposed to be, that's what she gives me. And that's why she is my biggest superhero, because this lady is so much that she has given me that words cannot describe. To have someone, like that in my circle, it means a lot, because this lady comes as an army. You see just one lady, but when you see her, you feel the spiritual power around her. And it's like, and to have that in my team, and to have someone like that love me, how can I not love myself? How can I want to achieve? And that's what she gave me. It's like she will always be my greatest superhero.
Well put, Miss Gianna. I have truly enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
I have learned quite a bit, and I feel blessed to have spent some time with you today. Thank you, Miss Gianna Battle. You are an extraordinary voice. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, and I'm very thankful to be able to be a voice for other students and to share this light and to share my journey, to hope that they'll take from it and to excel as well.
We appreciate you being at the Unsinkable.
Thank you.
Go Rams. This podcast is recorded in the WASU FM studios on the Albany State University campus. The show's technical producer and editor is Yasmin McKinley, mass communication major. I am the host and producer, Dr. Kimberly Burgess. Thank you for listening. Go Rams.